So Nicolas Martinez, aka our hijito, we call him the hijito, the program.
When they describe me as that, is like it kind of makes me feel good, is because everybody's watching out for me, like I'm their kid brother. So it's a good feeling.
You know, in a Hispanic family, the hijito is, sometimes the baby of the family, and everyone looks after the baby, including the other brothers and sisters. That's just kind of how it is, and everybody's there, and they take care of their hijito, and they make sure he's safe and can be successful. So he's been kind of the hijito of the family.
I think that's one of the biggest things that has got me through, where I'm at today, is everybody being there for me. Not only just family, like outside people, the justice system, that I never thought would be, here for me.
I think he just didn't have much of a father figure in his life, just because of his early drug use, never around family. He's just one of those that you cannot like him. He just grows on you. He calls on a regular basis. At the beginning he would call 5-6 times a day, just lost, always asking for direction. And that relationship just became stronger.
Teddy's impact on drug court, I mean, he helped me out a lot, which, him being a hard ass, how he was with me, really pushed me. Throughout everything that he's told me, a lot of his advice, and is kind of like a second father to me.
Oh, Nick. I've worked with Nick since he started drug court. I don't exactly know how long that was. I think it's been a little over 2 years maybe, or very, very close to. And when he first came in, he was kind of like a lost little boy.
Well, he basically failed probation. He was in the process of going to Department of Corrections. The probation officer just felt, he wasn't going to stay sober. He wasn't attending treatment. He wasn't showing up for his appointments. And she didn't feel that he was going to be successful in drug court, just because he never reported in and he just continued using.
I would say growing up in a broken home, I really wanted my parents to be together, and they had got a divorce. They were going through their separation. I was a little young for that, but I think that had a big impact on, kind of what I went through. Because with my dad, he was, he liked to drink a lot, and my mom, she, they had their experience of drugs, and alcohol and stuff. But it was more of just being around it all the time. My dad would let me drink. He'd tell me, here, you can only drink around me, or you can only smoke with me. That's it. And so little by little, and then it made it okay. And then afterwards, I started going out with my cousin David, and we'd go out to parties and stuff. And I kind of got influenced by him a lot, is because I kind of looked up to him, and kind of, it was in a bad way, where it always seemed like he was having fun, you know what I mean? And so I wanted to be a part of the crowd. I actually started off on pills, 8th grade. I had experienced some Percocets, didn't really like it, got sick, and then afterwards, little by little, started from smoking weed to drinking, and then kind of one thing led to another, and I started snorting pills. My uncle got in a really bad car accident, and he got methadone, so I would go and steal his pills. Little by little, I started snorting pills. Then from there, I got introduced into smoking 15s and 30s, and I started smoking those. At the time, I had snorted so many pills that my nose got raw. It was I couldn't touch it, and I only snorted on one side. So when I got introduced to smoking, I started craving the smoke. I really enjoyed the high. I liked it. I had moved to Arizona, and that was when I first got introduced to heroin. And from there, I was using it a lot up there. And when I didn't have it, when I'd go to work, is when I wasn't as motivated. I was kind of working slow. I didn't want to be there. I just wanted to go and get high. And that's when I started noticing like the impact of my body, like I just didn't feel normal. I started feeling like I wanted something different when I knew like I was stealing, and doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. Like I didn't want that lifestyle anymore. I was tired of it. And I was tired of, doing the same thing repetitively every day. And I just wanted something better. And that was probably about the last year that I was getting high, that I wanted to better myself. It's just getting over the sickness was the hardest part. What made me want to get sober was the very first time I went to jail. I was in there for 34 days. And all I wanted to do was get out. I told myself like I'll stay sober. And after that, I ended up going the second time, and I had got kidney failure. And when I got that is when I realized like, I'm really fucking up my body. Like I could have died from this, and that was a good wake up call for me to, like it's really time to get sober. When I got kidney failure, is that I was to pass my UAs basically, or for coming out diluted, was because my doctor said I have to drink a lot of water, stay hydrated. So I used that as the excuse to cover up my, while I was getting high. And after that, I started using more and more, and then I was told, this is your last strike. If not, we're gonna send you to corrections or prison. And that's one thing I valued the most, was my freedom. So from being locked up, I didn't want to be there, so I was like, I gotta get sober. And so I got put in a complaint for using, and luckily, I got on the Vivitrol shot the day before, and I had to, suffer it out through there. And then I realized after that, like, I gotta stay sober. I got the shot. I had smoked 2 points before I went in, and within like the first 5 minutes, man, I started feeling all hot and cold, the hot and cold sweats. And then after had to sit in there for about 20 minutes, and I just wanted to walk out because I was feeling sick. It was really intense. And I went through that for 4 days. And the next day after I got my Vivitrol shot, I had to go to jail because I showed up late for court. One of my public defenders, I don't remember what his name was, he told me about it. You have two options: either go to corrections, or we can try and get you accepted into drug court. And I asked him, well, see if I can get in drug court. And I got accepted, and it's been a blessing since.
We staffed him. I knew nothing of him. And, he was accepted. At the beginning, we struggled, for several months, and maybe even close to 6 months with his addiction, his lies. He was just very immature. He started using drugs, in junior high. And he was just really difficult at the beginning.
So me and my ex, we were together pretty close to about 5 years. And I'd say about the last year we were together, we started fighting a lot. And it was like when I wanted to get sober, or I wanted to stop getting high, she didn't want to, and it vice versa. And so when I got into on probation and stuff, or drug court I should say, she didn't really take me serious like I wanted to stop. I had to move to sober living because as far as transportation, I was always walking. We had our car, but she had left me walking a few times. And so Teddy told me, he's like, well, I got the sober living here. So I moved in there, and I kept telling her, get sober with me. She didn't want to. And the last time when I was on my last strike, when I went to jail the last time, Judge Mike had told me, he's like, this is it, She had came over, and I did have some, some dope to get her high. But what I was thinking in my head is she kept wanting me to. you know, like I knew that's what she wanted. And I was like, no, like, you know, the moment that she wanted me to basically throw like my life away, you know, like, and I was on my last strike, is when I'm like, I have to cut her off, you know. And Judge Mike and everybody in drug court, you know, was telling me like, you gotta leave her, and I didn't want to because we had been together so long. And after when that happened is when I realized, like, you know what, like I gotta move on with my life and get sober. And so I cut her out, and she moved on, you know, and, you know, good thing that she did, you know, because I think she would have been the reason why I went to jail or to prison.
Well, it all changed when he decided that his girlfriend was no longer, that relationship wasn't healthy anymore. She was using, and he would relapse every now and then with her. And he made the decision that he was moving to Alamosa and leaving her. Once he made that move to Alamosa and ended that relationship, after that was success, he remained sober. He worked the treatment program, still struggled with he was just very immature. And, to this day, he's one of those individuals that just, has grown and continues to grow on a monthly basis.
You know, he was in groups with some people that I think he really looked up to, and they also helped kind of mentor him and help him to find jobs and find housing and things like that.
I've been on probation for 3 years altogether, and from when I started, you know, I didn't expect to be where I'm at. You know, I thought I was never gonna stop using. So when I got off probation, like, I kind of started looking at myself like I was gonna go to prison and come out, you know what I mean? And when I got accepted into drug court, like, and that just everybody involved, the whole drug court team, my family started being more around and started seeing that I was, helping myself, wanting to be sober, and they wanted to help me, was like that big start for me, that pushed me. Like, I have people here that are there for me. Before, I didn't feel like I didn't have anybody there for me. It was because I was always going out stealing. I'd only call them for money, or if I needed help for something, I felt like I didn't have nobody there for me.
Well, let's see, what did I say? He started off, he was probably the maturity level an 8th grader, I think is what I said. I think we've easily got him at least to college age, a level now where we're ready to send our hijito off to college. I mean, it's kind of a similar, circumstance. You watch them grow, you watch them mature, you see the good decisions they make, you see the bad decisions you make, you laugh when they make you laugh, and you cry when they make you cry. And if there's anybody who doesn't think that as being a part of a program like this, that these guys can make you cry, they can. Their success is wonderful. Their failures, they hurt you. And so I think with him, we're at that point where we know it's kind of time to push him out of the nest, and it's time for him to make those decisions on his own and survive on his own. And I believe absolutely that he has the tools that he needs.
Judge Mike, man, I don't care what Teddy says about him. He's a good guy. He's I'd say a lot of his wisdom, his wise words help me also. I never thought I'd be as close as I was with the judge, like I am today, but he did help me quite a bit.
So in order for him to be successful, he just has to have that confidence, and he has to remember that, having drug court or graduating from drug court and not having us in his life or in his face all the time, he can still make good decisions, and that when he feels like he can do whatever he wants to do, that can be good things.
I told him last week that, he has a probation officer, but once he's off probation, he has a friend for life. My door is always open for him, and, he's always welcome, and, I hope he respects that and continues to, participate in a support group on Wednesdays and hang out with the other drug court crew.
Yes, I have faith in myself, that I'll be very successful when drug court's done. I don't ever plan on going back to my old ways, I'm happy where I'm at. I've came a long way, so, I don't plan on going back to using drugs again. I'm Nick Martinez, and I have 687 days of sobriety.